Everyone said the billionaire's daughter was impossible, cold, dangerous, and untouchable. Every tutor quit. Every therapist failed. Every guard feared her silence. But everything changed the day a quiet single dad walked into the mansion with a lunchbox in his hand and a past nobody knew about. They told him she breaks people. He simply said, "I won't break." But the moment he stepped into her world, he realized she wasn't dangerous, she was broken. Ethan Malik had never planned to set foot inside a billionaire's mansion. He was a single dad, a former construction worker now doing odd jobs to keep life steady for his 8-year-old daughter, Alina. Life had been a mess after his wife passed away. Every day was survival, not living. But Ethan carried one thing no one saw: patience forged through pain. When he got the call for a special caretaker job, he almost refused until they told him the salary. It was enough to change his daughter's life. Enough to give her the childhood she deserved. So he walked into the enormous glass mansion of Jonathan Hartman, one of the richest men in the country. The staff whispered as Ethan passed. "Another one? He won't last a week. She's impossible. Dangerous, even." Ethan frowned. Dangerous? She was just a teenager. Then he met Ariella Hartman, the billionaire's 17-year-old daughter. She sat in a sunlit room surrounded by shattered expensive objects, a broken violin, a cracked tablet, books thrown across the floor like they were nothing. But her eyes, sharp, cold, unreadable, stared at Ethan like she could see every wound he'd ever tried to bury. "Are you my new babysitter?" she said sharply. "Just Ethan," he replied quietly. "I'm not here to control you." Her eyebrow lifted slightly, but she said nothing. For hours, she ignored him. She refused food. She refused conversation. She refused existence. The previous caretaker had lasted 3 days. Before that, 2 days. Before that, 10 hours. But Ethan sat calmly on the sofa, repairing the violin she broke. Slow, patient, quiet. Ariella watched him. No anger at her destruction. No fear of her silence. No pity in his eyes. For the first time in years, someone wasn't trying to fix her. By evening, when Ethan prepared to leave, Ariella suddenly spoke. "You didn't ask why I break things." He looked at her gently. "Because people break things when they feel broken." Her breath hitched for a fraction of a second, just enough for Ethan to see the truth the world missed. This girl wasn't impossible. She was hurting. That night Ethan thought about her, lonely, misunderstood, drowning in the pressure of being a billionaire's daughter. No mother, a father consumed by business, a world that treated her like a problem instead of a person. Ethan made a quiet promise to himself. He wouldn't give up on her. Not like the others. She pushed him away again and again. But when her world finally shattered, the only person she reached for was the man who refused to leave. The following weeks were a battle, not between Ethan and Ariella, but between Ariella and the world inside her. She tried everything to push him away. Sarcasm. Outbursts. Silence. Manipulation. Ethan responded the same way every time. Calm. Patient. Present. When she yelled, he listened. When she shut down, he waited. When she threw a book at the wall, he handed her a new one. Slowly, cracks formed in her armor. One afternoon, Ethan found Ariella sitting alone in the garden, tears streaming silently down her face. She tried to hide them the second she saw him. "Don't," Ethan said softly. "Crying isn't weakness." She looked away. "You don't know anything about me." "Then tell me," he said. And for the first time, she did. Her mother had died when she was little. Her father had buried himself in work, building an empire but leaving his daughter behind. Everyone in her life was paid to pretend they cared. She never knew who was honest and who was using her last name. She felt unwanted. Invisible. Angry at a world she couldn't control. And then she said something Ethan would never forget. "Everyone tells me I'm broken. But no one ever asks why." He sat beside her. My daughter felt that way after her mother passed. Pain doesn't make you broken, Ariella. It makes you human. That day, something shifted. She asked him about Alina. She asked him about life outside the mansion. She asked him why he stayed. And Ethan told her the truth. Because someone once stayed for me when I was falling apart. I'm just doing the same for you. Weeks turned into months. Ariella began eating properly. Studying. Smiling awkwardly, but genuinely. She even picked up the violin again. The staff whispered a new sentence now. Who is this man? No one has ever changed her like this. Jonathan Hartman finally noticed too. One evening, he approached Ethan personally, something he rarely did. I don't know what you've done, the billionaire said, voice thick. My daughter laughs now, something I haven't heard in years. Ethan smiled. I didn't do anything special. I just saw her. Jonathan lowered his eyes, guilt written all over his face. But the real breakthrough came during a stormy night. Ariella suffered a panic attack, something she had kept hidden for years. The staff panicked. The mansion descended into chaos. But Ethan rushed to her room, sat on the floor with her, held her shaking hands, and whispered calm instructions until her breathing eased. When the trembling stopped, she whispered, "Please don't leave." "I won't," he promised. She cried into his shoulder, a girl who had never let herself collapse in front of anyone. Ariella had finally found the one thing she'd been denied her whole life. A safe person. Ariella recovered. She rebuilt her relationship with her father. She enrolled in college, learned emotional tools, and even became close to Alina. At her graduation ceremony years later, Ariella stood on stage and thanked one person above all. The man who didn't treat me like a billionaire's daughter, but like a human being worth saving. And Ethan, sitting in the audience with Alina, wiped a tear he pretended wasn't there. Sometimes, the strongest people aren't the ones who roar, but the ones who stay. And sometimes, doing the impossible simply means refusing to give up on someone who needs you.